Behind my badge is a heart like yours, which is heavy.
An arena full of broken hearts as a family and community say goodbye to a dedicated police officer.
Make no mistake, your hurt is our hurt.
Hundreds of people come to pay their respects, whether it's lining the streets or filling an arena, showing how an entire community can back the Blue.
It's not right. They're out there protecting us, and this happens. Police lives matter.
And some even offering a lesson of love and hope in a time of sorrow.
Love each other for the moments that y'all have left together.
A fallen officer remembered. The family of Officer Adam Jobbers Miller has an entire community behind them as they mourn the loss of their 29-year-old officer.
They felt the love and compassion from the law enforcement community and people all across Florida. Look at the crowds that line the street here today, all the streets, saluting the officer who made the ultimate sacrifice. Wink News has team coverage as the family says their final goodbye. John Carlos Estrada, Brittany McDonald, and Chris Grisby all talked to people who wanted to give back to the man who put it all on the line for them. But we start with reporter Nicole Valdez live outside Germain Arena now. Nicole.
Yeah, such a young officer filled with so much joy and passion for the job. His former chief of police saying every agency should have at least 100 Adam Jobbers Millers ready to serve as he did. And after seeing that beautiful tribute inside this arena here behind me, it is very clear that his momentous sacrifice will never be forgotten. They traveled in droves with badges held high and uniforms of different colors, but they came together as one for a final goodbye.
He's a hero in our eyes, of course.
Officer Adam Jobbers Miller served less than 3 years on the Fort Myers police force, but his brothers say it didn't take long for him to make an impact.
It's a hard job already.
And it was clear as one by one, each man and woman bowed their heads and held their hearts.
It was very touching. I mean, very professional. Everybody was in step, so it was nice to see.
A community touched by his story and his tragic death.
That's like another brother. I'm teared out already.
Former Marine Cyndia Fernandez didn't know of Jobbers Miller until his passing, but says that doesn't matter.
It's kind of hard sometimes to repay them back, and this is the least we can do to stand here and make sure everybody sees that we support them. You're hand in hand with these people, and they become family, so.
His family, friends, and brothers in blue stood in silence for the final call.
Fort Myers to 524, Officer Adam Jobbers Miller. The men and women of the Fort Myers Police Department are forever grateful and proud to have served with Officer Jobbers Miller, and we will never forget his loyalty and dedication.
Now, Jobbers Miller's family was given the American flag that was draped over his casket. You saw there after that ceremony, and as you saw, they were also able to lay roses next to his casket before heading to the funeral home where he will be cremated. Live outside Germain Arena tonight, I'm Nicole Valdez, Wink News Now.
All right, thank you very much, Nicole. Backing the Blue. The community wanted to show law enforcement they were behind them 100%. They lined the road as a horse-drawn carriage carried the officer's casket to another ceremony near Germain Arena. Wink News anchor John Carlos Estrada continues our team coverage now. John Carlos.
Lois, within the last 90 minutes, we did see that huge American flag that was here at the entry of Germain Arena. That's where Adam Jobbers Miller's body and his family and friends had to travel underneath to get into the arena. But while that was happening, there was a crowd that gathered here. Many of them just wanted to pay their respects. As Adam Jobbers Miller's hearse and family entered Germain Arena, a crowd began to gather here. A woman held an American flag. Others put their hands over their heart. It was their way of honoring the 29-year-old officer who died in the line of duty. I spoke to a young girl here with her mother and brother.
Just to see the people and the officers supporting everybody.
Very heartwarming. It was, I didn't know it was going to be this close. I just found me a spot and I was right here. I'm sorry for their loss. All the other deputies, just please be careful out there.
And that last man I spoke to, Jimmy Roberts, he's from North Fort Myers. He's a former firefighter and retired Marine Corps. He, like many of the other people here, didn't really know Adam Jobbers Miller, but they wanted to come out here to say thank you. Live in Estero, John Carlos Estrada, Wink News Now.
All right, thank you very much, John Carlos. And this is what the funeral program looked like. There were several speakers, including Captain Jay Rodriguez, Chief Derek Diggs, and some inspirational music. They also played the song Drink a Beer by Luke Bryan and some heartbreaking songs like You Raise Me Up and On Eagle's Wings.
People around the state came down to honor the officer in any way they can. We met an officer from Highlands County last night who wanted to return the favor after one of their own died, and an officer from New Jersey who now lives in Charlotte County wanted to pay his respects too.
He wanted to make a difference, and that's very important. They need to know that because of that attitude, he died a hero.
Wink News anchor Brittany McDonald talked to community members who found a special way to honor the officer. Brittany.
Yeah, it's been really touching to see all of the different ways that people have been paying their respects. Some simply with their hands over their hearts, others waving flags in the air. One person, though, created a portrait of Officer Adam Jobbers Miller.
We know we can't take away their pain. There's really nothing that we can say to take away their pain.
But Fidel Ballin and other retired and current officers want to make sure FMPD officer Adam Jobbers Miller isn't forgotten.
The world is a lesser place because of the loss of Adam.
They're part of the now national group Brothers Before Others, started by a retired NYPD officer as a way to offer support to fallen officers' families. Member and Philadelphia officer Johnny Castro created this portrait of Jobbers Miller.
It's our way of always showing respect to one of our own, regardless of department, state, or patch.
Some days you believe that no one likes us, no one supports us, but then you see these kind of situations and you remember that they do support you.
That support shown with people young and old gathered quietly and respectfully at the busy intersection of Treeline and Colonial as Officer Jobbers Miller's procession drove by.
I just feel like that it was like a very good way to show respect to him. I just feel horrible for them.
Local members of Brothers Before Others plans on giving that portrait to the family within the next couple of days, and then another one to the mayor and FMPD later on. I'm live in Fort Myers, Brittany McDonald, Wink News Now.
All right, thank you very much, Brittany. And children are learning a valuable lesson today. There is strength in community.
How beautiful this is, and how a community will come together as one when they have to do something so sad.
Wink News reporter Chris Grisby continues our team coverage live along the procession route now. Chris.
Yes, Lois, a group of Cub Scouts came and took part today in today's long procession to Germain Arena. And as that procession went by, it was utter silence. And those kids, they were waving their American flags.
He tried to protect our country at the gas station, and he felt died protecting our community.
Connor Jones and his Cub Scouts pack from Lehigh Acres are giving thanks to those who serve our community.
Respect
is a word these parents are teaching their children early on.
These officers need just as much respect as we do here as citizens. They deserve to be safe. They deserve to be able to patrol our streets and not have that fear that something might happen to them.
As the procession made its way to and from Germain Arena, these scouts and others are standing at attention to honor the fallen officer.
It makes me feel happy for what we're doing for the police officer.
Hundreds of officers from agencies local and afar drove in sync to lay a brother in blue to rest.
I don't think we give everybody enough credit. When they go to work every day, they don't know if they're going to come home.
As this procession came to an end, tears and gratitude.
I think we all sometimes need a dose of reality and realize how precious life is.
And after speaking to those Cub Scouts, many of them told me today will never be a day that they'll ever forget. Reporting live in Fort Myers, Chris Grisby, Wink News Now.
Chris, thank you. The officer's personnel file is filled with words like dedicated and calm, respectful to his peers, it says. The New Jersey native graduated high school in 2007 and worked as a firefighter before coming down here to Florida to take care of a family member. When Jobbers Miller was in the academy, he told an instructor he wanted to become an officer to get drugs off the street because his brother passed away from using drugs. But above all, he was a son, a brother, and his department director says Adam was always very dedicated and always volunteered for calls for service. And you'll notice flags at half staff until tonight around town. The governor ordered the state capitol to pay respect to the officer. He and his wife were on hand at the funeral today and say they're praying for his family. And people who were at the funeral received these ribbons. Volunteers worked tirelessly on these last week. They had a goal originally to make 10,000 of them. They actually ended up making more than 15,000.
Well, people who couldn't make it to the funeral or the procession showed their support online, many of them offering condolences to the officer's family and to the law enforcement community as a whole. Wait News anchor Amanda Hall went through some of those posts, and she shares them with us now.
Yeah, support really grew over the past few weeks in the days after Officer Adam Jobbers Miller was shot. Just last night, a deputy with the Highlands County Sheriff's Office came down to pay his respects at the officer's visitation. He said he wanted to return the favor after one of their own, Deputy William Gentry, died back in May.
For not only Adam's family, but for Fort Myers Police Department and Lee County Sheriff's Office, who were phenomenal in their support for the Highlands County Sheriff's Office when our deputy was over here in the hospital.
Many of you took to social media offering your condolences. Sophia Burling said, "This is why I respect police officers. They give their life every day when they wear the uniform and leave home. No one knows if they'll come back." This post from Robert Rojas says, "Condolences to the entire family from Arizona. Rest in peace." Dan Prish says, "R.I.P. Adam. You are a credit to your family, the uniform, the city, and your community. Thank you for your service." And many posters say his sacrifice is something they will never forget. You continue to leave your condolences, and if you have photos, you can share them to the Wink News Facebook page. Chris, back to you.
All right, Amanda, thank you. The entire community mourns the loss of a dedicated officer, Adam Jobbers Miller. Crowds lined the streets and offered a salute to the fallen officer as he arrived to his funeral. His fellow officers carried his flag-draped casket inside. They all remember him as a great community servant. Wink News will have more complete coverage just ahead. We'll be right back.